Welcome to AMA Campus. I am Riva, your host, and today's episode is all about how to build win win partnerships between institutions and investors. We have a very special guest with us, Mr. Bhavesh Thakkar, founder and CEO of Foreign Campus. So let's begin. What does a win win partnership mean when it comes to collaboration between educational institutions and investors?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for having me on this AMA session. And I'm happy to answer whatever you think you want to ask me. And to begin with, I would say that for me, a win win situation or a win win partnership is when both sides grow without compromising their core objectives. So, from institutions of the education institutions perspective, they get the right infrastructure who wants to expand or who wants to grow beyond their territory. So, they get the infrastructure, either they get a capital or both, or operational support to scale. And investors get long term stability and predictable returns. So that's like, what investor would always want to get into. And, from an educational institution side, they would always want such kind of in support coming from an investor. So it's about aligning vision, ensuring clarity from day one, and creating a model where both the sides feel equally valued.
That's a great way. Next. How do you evaluate whether a property or campus is suitable for a long term institutional project?
I hope you mean institutional means educational institutions, right?
Yes,
Okay. So I look at the fundamentals basically, like, if an education institution, uh, either wants to expand by themselves, or maybe if a property or a campus is suitable for a long-term partnership with them or not. So what I look at is first thing is location, which has to be very much appropriate, very much suitable for any educational institute to run a campus there, accessibility, built-up quality, sustainability of the neighborhood and long-term potential. But equally important is also whether the asset can support an institution's expansion plan over the next 10, 15 years. So if the foundation is strong and the environment supports growth, the prospect usually works well. And that's where I, find the gap or the synergies between the property or the campus with their partner institution or the proposed partner institution.
yeah, makes perfect sense. What role does transparency play in maintaining trust throughout the partnership lifecycle?
So for foreign campus or for myself, throughout this 23 years of my experience and my, work span in this particular education space, transparency is very much important for me. So when both sides openly share their expectations, their challenges, their requirements, their timelines, decisions becomes easier and smoother for me. And that's where, the first step begins is on the trust, because what they say is what they deliver, and what they cannot is I take that, okay, that's where I'll fill the gap with. So in my experience, partnership falls or fails not because of lack of opportunity, but because of lack of clear communication. So transparency keeps everyone aligned and reduces surprises later. So I think it's a very important in any business or any relation.
Absolutely, yes. Transparency really is the backbone. What
Yeah.
trends do you currently see in educational real estate, land leasing, joint development, buyout, or operational partnerships?
Yeah, it's an interesting question what you're asking, and I think that's what keeps on coming to me by either education institutions or the real estate players. So I think we are seeing a mix. So what do I mean by that is that the strongest trend in long-term leasing and joint development models, where institutional educational institutions wants flexibility without heavy upfront capex, and investors prefer stable long-term occupancy. So, say operational partnerships are also growing because many investors now prefer to support education institutions beyond just the real estate angle. So, let me just give you an example that if your question is that, okay, what's your trend currently seeing in educational real estate, land leasing, joint development, buyout, or operational partnerships? Which means that if it's a land leasing, then, definitely the land owner wants somebody to come and construct. So that's where we come and bridge the gap. I bring in the investment, I create an SPV where I bring in an operator and an investor who will construct the building. Joint development, when we say, is somebody brings in the land and and the investment going towards land and building is jointly done by the landowner and the school or college or university partner. So that's where that happens. Buyout is a very simple thing where an education institution comes in and they buy out the whole project or the land, and then they by themselves construct with the help of the local partner. And by operational partnership means that, basically if an operator or if an education group wants to come and operate an existing infrastructure or existing education institution where they get everything readily available, but they can bring in the expertise of running the institute, is what operational partnership comes aligned with. So the trend, what if you ask me, is majorly ratio-wise. If we see, then it goes more towards the leasing side. That's number one trend in the whole globe, I would say, compared to buyout or anything else. There one can scale very fast and quicker. So I think out of all, the trend is going towards leasing.
Very insightful. It's interesting to see how flexible models are shaping the sector.
Yes.
Okay, so here we wind up with this last question. Can you
Sure.
share a real example where a strategic partnership between an educational institution and an investor created mutual success? What made it work?
So first, let me just explain this, and then I'll give you a classic example. So, I've seen partnerships succeed when both sides respect each other's expertise. So the investor focus on creating a strong physical asset where he brings in the real estate or the land and the building and the investment, while the educational institution focuses on the academic side and the operational delivery side. So the clarity of roles are very clear and they are long-term commitment from both sides. So and they respect that particular arrangement for good term. And when everyone stays aligned, so the bigger vision outcomes are always stronger. So if I have to give you a real example about a strategic partnership, then I would say that, uh, you know, out of whatever projects we have done, maximum number has gone towards, the leasing side rather than going asset heavy. Usually the asset light model is always, a preferred model for a greater expansion, in which, say the greenfield or the brownfield has been leased to an educational operator for say 30 years and plus, where they have either a rental arrangement. Sometimes they have a revenue share model if again the investors align towards the revenue. Then that kind of an example I would like to give, and it worked just because of purely and purely the expectations are met both sides. So I would say that that is what we have to, like, I or my company definitely focus on that particular side about matching the expectations, and not just by pushing in with any kind of transactions which can go through today but can fall apart just because somebody thought it is a very lucrative business or it's a very lucrative return kind of a thing. I want to jump into it, and tomorrow he fails in his expectation and then the agreements are not honored. So I think I would say that that's where our USP, and that's where we are, strong to bring in the partnership and to be proud of. Till date, we haven't seen a single arrangement, discontinued out of the arrangement what they have got into with between the investor and between the educational operator.
That's inspiring. Thank you, Bhavesh, for sharing your valuable insights with our audience. We look
Thank you so
forward
much.
to more such insightful conversations with you in the future.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you everybody for, giving your time and listening to me. Thank you.
So, bye.